Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Thank you all for being here today. It's great to see you. Happy Sunday to everyone. I had to take a little bit of a break yesterday. I had to take a break yesterday because the entire week last week, I kind of overworked myself and was getting 4 hours of 4 hours of sleep per night, and so I had to get some rest yesterday. It's important that I also take care of myself as well. But I'm here today. Happy Sunday to you all, and I hope everything is well. I hope all of the information within these videos are helping you to uplift you, to encourage you all to take care of your physical and mental health. The topic of discussion that we're going to go into today is keep your environment positive. It's so important to do that, people, especially when you're going through grief. It's important to take in as little negativity as possible while you're going through this in order to continue to stay on that path to healing. So, before we get into that, also, I was suffering with the sinus thing. And one of the things I do now, if you take a pot of water, boil it on the stove, and then take a towel after you turn off the stove and then move the pot to the side and just inhale the steam from it. That helps a lot too to open up the nasal passageway because during this pollen and all the changing of seasons, etc., my sinuses start to bother me. And once I do that, I start to feel better. Plus, I got some rest yesterday. I wasn't online at all. And I just made myself rest because otherwise I'll just keep working. And it's important that I also take care of myself when I feel that exhausted. So I'm also going to talk about, before we get deep into the discussion, um, actually, we can get into the discussion because what I was going to say first is that it's important that you keep your environment positive because as you start to do the work to heal, you're going to change in some ways. I know for me, I'm not the same Lisa as before all of these losses. I was a different type of person. I talk about that a lot on this channel, how the losses have changed my life forever. And as I said, especially losing my mom, my dog, and going through all this grief 10 people at one time during a shutdown. And people don't want to really, some people don't want to really talk about this, but this can happen again. And I also went through the situation in New York because I am from New York, of the World Trade Center, the 9/11. I was in the middle of that as well, and I know what that's like. These things are traumatizing. And when you are traumatized by things due to no fault of your own, you have to heal these things. Otherwise, you stay stuck and stagnated, and it affects your physical and mental health. And like I always say, it's so important to take care of that because without that, you have nothing. You have nothing to give to yourself or anyone else. I am not a therapist before we get started. I'm not licensed, certified. What this channel is about is me sharing information about things that happened to me, the losses, and how I am on the road to healing, and some of the tidbits I'm sharing um, to help other people because it may help you as well. Because believe me, if I can do it, you can do this as well. Because I wasn't on board, always on board with this healing because of the traumatic losses. If you don't know, I spoke about it in prior videos of losing 10 people, etc. And it didn't feel good, people. It was just hard to heal from that. And I really went to God and went through prayer. Prayer, meditation, positive affirmations have helped me so much, and doing the work through therapy. So, whatever state you are from and you're watching this video, please Google a therapist in your area and meet with a few of them, or look into seeing a few of them and see who you vibe with, and then go from there. Know that the process may be slow for some people, and for others, the healing may be quicker. It depends on you and the work involved. But always stay on the path to healing is so important. Um, Always prioritize your mental health and put that first above anything else. It's so important. Sometimes when you're on this path and it changes you, you're not that same person that you used to be, it changes you. And sometimes people may not like the changes that they see within you, even though those changes are positive ones. For myself, I used to be a people pleaser, subservient to people, and not saying how I felt about things. I would just keep those things to myself, even though it made me uncomfortable and uneasy because I was afraid to lose people out of my life, and conflict matters. I don't like conflict. But today, the least I am today, I address situations because something small can turn into something big if it's not addressed right away. And so, whether it's uncomfortable for me or not, I have to address these issues. And it took a lot of therapy. It's been 3 years now since my mom and the situation I talk about here has happened with losing 10 people, but it still affects my life daily because my mother, my dog, they're not here anymore, as well as a good friend who was only a few years older than myself. And, I feel it. And if you have losses, some people during the shutdown have lost their spouse, besides their parents, and God forbid, children, etc. And you never get over those losses, but you can get through them, one day at a time. However, as you do the work slowly, and the what it started with me with the therapy, doing the homework that my therapist was giving me. And believe me, I wasn't excited about doing any of this. And it was a lot of pain, a lot of looking in the mirror. And I had to go deep within myself to heal things like inner childhood wounds and addressing certain situations that I didn't want to look at. And I'm still doing that, but it's better. I'm not still in that space as I was when all of this first happened. So it's important to start, and don't beat yourself up if the process is slow. At least you're on the path to healing. And sometimes the people who you may have around you may not like that you're doing better. I don't understand that myself. Why someone don't want to see someone heal and get better. To me, there's something wicked about that. This is how I feel about it, because someone we need to heal from these traumas. We live in a world today where people are just out for self-absorbed. And sometimes in my case, what I find out, people are too invested in my personal, um, not just my personal healing, my personal business. And this is why I had to cut off a lot, block and delete, because I started to notice as the clouds started to lift and I started to feel better and get better, you know, it was just, I felt, okay, this is working. I have to stay on this path. But people from my past who didn't want that, now people are gossiping, not just gossip, because people are going to gossip no matter what. We have no control over any of that. But the deception, the lies, just doing things that are just doing the most and the worst. And I had to address those issues. And it wasn't easy because as I spoke to my therapist every week that we were speaking, I was crying over these issues because it was not just people, it was family as well, you know, family members, and it was difficult. It was very difficult. So what I had to do, as my therapist kept suggesting, Lisa, establish boundaries. It's important that you establish boundaries. That's so important. And I had to do that. And I was afraid to do it because I know that once I do that, some people will cross those boundaries because they didn't have any respect for me anyway. But I wanted to keep them in my life because, losing people is never easy. But as I started to feel better and get stronger and self love on myself, I realized I am worth it. And that's what you have to tell yourself. And as you do the healing work, and it's little things with the healing work, things that make you feel better. Take care of yourself, nurturing yourself. If it's music, music is a healing source. I do that daily. That's important. And other things that you like, you know, as you start to feel better, you start to see that you're worth it. And you start to self-love on yourself, which doesn't mean to be in love with yourself, but the self-love means that you love yourself enough that you know certain things you don't deserve, like somebody, just doing the most and the worst, and I had to address it. And after I addressed it the first few times, it was difficult and hard. But as I gotta turn this off, guys. I apologize because what happens, my phone, sorry about that. But as I was saying, is that it's so important to address these things and not let them go on for far too long. And I had to do this. And my therapist was just navigating me, through this, um, his words of setting boundaries. And I started to do that. And these people didn't like the boundaries, so they started crossing over them. And then I would say, no, this is not okay. And they would cross over it again. And I would be in shock, like, are you kidding me? Okay, time to cut off, block, and delete because I've had those difficult conversations more than once. And I'm not going to continue to say the same things over and over again. I just going to cut off, block, and delete because this is another thing, people. If you continue to engage in these negative conversations with people, then it's going to delay your healing process as well. Because now you're already grieving and going through the most, and then somebody else is adding to that plate. And it's like a Ferris wheel that's going around and around with no direction in sight. And then the more that you engage in this, the more it makes you feel uncomfortable. And you already are going through something. So what I did, I just cut off, block, and delete because my physical and mental health meant everything. Everything to me. It's so important. So it's important to prioritize everything. The first thing is your mental and physical health, because without that, you're no good to yourself or anyone else. And I had to do that. And as I do it now, it gets easier, because I matter. Tell yourself as you get up in the morning, even though you may be depressed and still pining for that love, passed over loved one, and you're still feeling days of grief, I matter. And also tell yourself this: your Passover loved one would never, ever want you to stay in a place of grief and depression for the rest of your life. They want you to embrace life, to live it, to love it, and to keep their memory alive as well. And that's what my mom would want, because my therapist used to remind me of that all the time. Your mother, Lisa, would never want you to stay in a place of depression and just feeling bad. They would never want that. She would never want that. And also other people that I've lost. And I had to slowly recognize that, that was the truth, and started to do the work. So it is important to keep your environment positive. You can't control everything and things around you, but you can control the negativity, the amount of negativity that you're going to take in on a daily basis as you try to heal, get through this grieving period. If you're around people who like drama and negativity and engaging in low vibrational stuff, then, my advice would be to just keep your environment positive. and try to keep yourself away from the drama and negativity or whatever it is. It's important to do that and go outside, and get out. And even if you do one thing that day per day, pat yourself on the back because it's going to take time. Like I always say, nothing ventures, nothing gain. It's going to take time to, get through this. And, that's important. Somebody needs to hear this message. So, people, please keep sharing these videos, subscribe, like, because I've been getting comments, like I said in my prior video, that these videos are helping someone. And that's the purpose of it, to help others. And I want you guys to think about this too. Like, if you find yourself in situations where people are gossiping about you, because as you start to heal, you start to get better and feel better, and you may not be that old version of yourself, just ignore that, just stay focused on your healing. Because I promise you, when there's a lot of gossip, especially the gossip is untrue, people are gonna at some point see what the truth is, because the truth always reveal itself. And just keep staying on that path and keep your focus on your healing process, because you matter, you are important. Thank you for listening today. That is the message. Please share that with someone, and I'll be back tomorrow with the new message and to encourage you. And please, also, as I always say, find a bereavement group in your area that you can connect with, because you're going to hear stories from other people who are grieving and going through the same situation that you have gone through. Please connect with them so that you can hear some tidbits that are going to help you. And you can use that within your healing process to help you on this path to healing. This is Lisa, not only sharing love and light, but also taking pain and turning it into purpose and turning purpose into power. Thank you guys for listening today. And I will be back with you again tomorrow. Have a great Sunday. Bye for now.